right, Cowboy Nation, Fan to Fan Network and beyond. This is episode 2.
Thanks for having me on, Law. Yeah, that week 1 matchup, I think we kind of hyped it up all offseason, and we were so ready for it. And it was definitely a little disappointing. I kind of like what Mike McCarthy was saying about peaking at the right time, not to get too caught up on the highs, too caught up on the lows, but it was definitely a disappointing start.
Yes, indeed. Whenever the Cowboys lose, it seems like it's the end of the world. We already seeing fans are ready to just kick over the can and say, you know what? Let's just go back to another coach. Let's get rid of this coach. How do you feel about his, coaching debut from Mike McCarthy? Was it a positive thing? Was it a bad thing? How do you feel about everything?
Yeah, I think there were some good moments, and then there were definitely some bad moments too. But like the 4th and 3 call, I honestly didn't mind that law. I didn't necessarily agree with it, but I do think the analytics kind of proved that it might not have been the bad move. So I expected more out of Kellen Moore than anybody on the coaching staff week 1, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was one of those situations where we look back at it and we'll say, man, if the Cowboys just do a few things right, we'll come out with the victory. But I always say this, you learn more from your failures than your success. And the Cowboys look like a team that were not really ready to play that Sunday night. And hopefully, and I mean just that we can match up some things together, maybe put some things in the right places on the defensive side of the ball, on stopping the bleeding and stopping the run, and be ready for this Atlanta Falcons. Now, Atlanta Falcons, they use the entire field as it relates to passing the ball, because that Matt Ryan, he put up 450 yards last week. What are your thoughts on the Atlanta Falcons?
So, yeah, everybody in Cowboys Nation knows about our weapons, but Matt Ryan has some weapons there in Atlanta as well. One being the obvious Julio Jones, but Calvin Ridley's a legit number 1 as well. And Russell Gage, I believe, had 100 yards in week 1, so that they're going to be tough to stop. Also want to point out Hayden Hurst, the tight end out of South Carolina. This is kind of his first time starting, and he's got some speed and some athleticism at that position. And, hey, at least they have a starting tight end, so there's going to be some struggles there. Yeah,
good old Hayden Hurst. I was high on him after coming out of the draft, and the Ravens picked him up. I was like, man, they got 2 weapons. The guy from Oklahoma, I forgot his name. And, Andrews, oh, my goodness. They had these 2 guys, and I was sitting there like, man, they set for life. And they made the trade acquisition or what have you to get rid of Hayden Hurst. But Hayden Hurst is a guy that we really have to pay attention to, outside of the fact that you have, like you said, 3 guys that have over north of 100 yards, and Matt Ryan targeted him 9 receptions for over those amount of yards. So it's going to be a situation whereas 2, we have to understand that Todd Gurley, he only had 56 yards rushing, but normally that's the norm for running backs. Week 1, and then week 2, week 3, week 4, they kind of rev that number up. So we're going to have our hands full.
Sure, and I think Todd Gurley had most of his rushing yards in the first half, and I think they were down by like 11 points going into halftime. They kind of gave up on the run after that. So when they were rolling and that power formation with Gurley, they were getting some yards on the ground. That's definitely something we got to look at, because we weren't too great against the run in Los Angeles.
No doubt. So hopefully this team that we're going to face, maybe they don't do all of the crazy nuances that the past team that we played against. That Sean McVay, he's just crazy with his play design. So hopefully we don't have to worry about that this week, week 2. Nevertheless, we have a plethora of injuries to show his ugly head at the wrong time. We already know that Lyle Collins is out. Now we have a fickle situation with Tyron Smith. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, Tyron Smith's only 30 years old, but you know that body has a lot of miles on it.
Right.
And I'm a little worried that this might be more of a week-to-week situation than just a one-game kind of thing. So it's a little concerning. As a matter of fact, I'd say it's probably our biggest concern heading into week 2 is who's going to be starting at left tackle. Is it going to be Brandon Knight or is it going to be Tyron Smith? if Tyron Smith does play, what is he going to be able to bring? It's definitely concerning. I've seen that we're looking at Jared Veldheer, offensive tackle that started some years in the league. So hopefully we can add a little depth at that position.
Yeah, it's one of those things. This particular team, I believe that continuity and rapport is something that we always strive for and always want. But self-inflicted wounds, I cannot let La'el Collins off the hook. We needed him last week, right? And he got, another week to sit on the IR reserve or what have you, because he's going to stay on there for 3 weeks or something like that. I think that's where we designated him to be on. And by us not having a right tackle, and trust me, Terrence Steele, he tried his best, but he can't just be this person that's going to step up and be up when he wasn't doing it in college, So it's one of those situations where I'm looking at it like, Cowboy Nation, we going to have our hands full because they got a guy named, his name, is it Grady Jarrett? Fowlers, I believe his name is as well.
Fowler.
Dante and those guys and Tack McKinley, those three guys there can change the imprint of the game. They can really wreak havoc as it relates to blitzing and getting off to the edge and getting to the quarterback or playing into the inside. So we're going to have our hands full.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Tack McKinley, I think, had like 7 pressures week 1 against Seattle. So that's definitely something we got to be prepared for. It's going to be tough. The left tackle, center, and right tackle are our biggest weaknesses if Tyron Smith's out on Sunday.
And we have a hobbled Amari Cooper. The good thing is that this is a home game, and I still got Amari Cooper starting on my fantasy team. He 9 times out of 10, he normally shows up at home, so hopefully it'll be one of those situations where it looks and it appears like he's gimpy, and then when the game is starting, he still put up good numbers, for us from a fantasy aspect. Do you play any or dibble and dabble in any fantasy there, Ryan?
I'm in like 4 or 5 leagues this year. It's almost too much because I can't keep up with any one of them. But yeah, Amari Cooper, I was a little concerned with him last week, but he did show up and have a solid game as far as that 1 3rd and 5 catch goes. He took a pretty tough hit there. I mean, I know you want him to hold on to it, but outside of that, I think he had close to 10 receptions.
Yeah. Oh, just to move a little further back into last week, and I know we talking about the Atlanta Falcons. We got a guy number 13, Michael Gallup. He had a fantastic game, was robbed from the aficionados. I'm going to say that because I believe that at the end of the game, you should allow those guys to just play it out. So fast forwarding to this week, we got Julio Jones, Jerry Wayne Jones, and Mike McCarthy done already said or came out and said, hey, they love Trayvon Diggs. So it could be a matchup of the Bama Boys or what have you. Trayvon Diggs versus Julio Jones. How do you feel about that?
Well, if Trayvon Diggs looks any way he looked last Sunday, then I think we'll be okay. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Julio Jones is going to get his. I mean, he's that good.
Right.
He's that good. But if we can contain him to the difficult catches that he does make and not give him anything easy, then I think we'll be okay there. Trayvon Diggs was sticking to guys' hips on last Sunday, so I was pretty impressed with his tape. And at the same time, I know Atlanta has a young defensive back themselves and first-round pick A.J. Terrell. And you were talking about Michael Gallup. I think he'll definitely be taking it Terrell just like he did to Jalen Ramsey last Sunday.
Oh, wow. So that's going to be his duty. And we got a guy that's returning to the roster. Hopefully he'll be able to get back into shape and everything, and he's ready in these sorts. We're talking about Jordan Lewis, and he may be paired up against Calvin Ridley. How do you feel about Jordan Lewis? Although we didn't get a chance to see him, I guess you have to go by from last year's tape. What are your thoughts on Jordan Lewis? Will he be a factor in this game?
Yeah, I thought we were a little weak in the slot week 1, so getting Lewis back is big. And honestly, I think he's probably our best tackler in the secondary. So it's definitely a plus. As far as I know, Law, did Brandon Carr play last Sunday? I didn't see him on the field.
Oh, no. I'm glad you brought that up. So we got a little veteran guy that will be brought up to the 53-man or the 46-man active roster, Brandon Carr. So maybe he'll be the guy that stick Hayden Hurst. Maybe he'll be the guy that monitor the interior or the inside of the field. They said that they still believe in Darian Thompson, who had 10 tackles last week and I guess a pass bat down. So I'll be really looking into where they're going to actually utilize Brandon Carr. Will it be over Xavier Woods or will it be over the Darian Thompson guy? We'll find out, huh?
Sure, yeah. You know, Darian Thompson, he was out there a lot last week, so he got plenty of play time. They definitely picked on him a little bit. He missed a couple tackles, I think, led to touchdowns, but he did have 10 tackles, so at least he was out there competing. At the end of the day, I think Brandon Carr brings a wealth of experience. He's probably a little bit better of a player. It'll be interesting to see where we go as he gets more accustomed to the team again.
Yeah, right. That sounds like good stuff. So this is my first year actually playing fantasy football. And since you said you have multiple fantasy leagues so far, right now, this is my starting roster right quick. I have Dak Prescott as the quarterback. Actually, I have Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. I know I'm kind of homering this thing up. But to save it, I have CMC as the running back. And the option number 2 is Leonard Fournette. Should I bench Leonard Fournette in favor of Matt Breida? Because basically Leonard Fournette didn't get a lot of attempts last week, and he only brought me 2.9 points last week. So what shall I do in that particular roster lineup?
Yeah, you know, that is going to be tough to say because Fournette did not get a lot of burn week 1, but as he gets, more accustomed to the brand new team he just signed with, he could be getting some more carries, although I do think Tampa kind of likes what they see out of Ronald Jones. The only thing that concerns me is, man, Brady has got so many weapons there. How are they going to be able to spread it all to everybody?
Okay.
And Fournette, I'm sure he'll definitely get some carries, but I doubt he'll be used as much in the passing game. I would stick to Burrito week 2, and I'd wait and see till they trying to start using Fournette a little more.
Oh, wow. Let me tell you who's on the bench. I got Russell Wilson on the bench, right?
Ooh, and who's Russ playing week 2?
I have no clue. See, I kind of threw this at you, man, on the whim, but I think that Russell had over 39 points or 30 points last week against those Atlanta Falcons. So it might be wise for me to keep Dak Prescott versus the Atlanta Falcons. Hopefully, Dak Prescott can put up some numbers with his legs and also with his arms, and we'll see what we can go with from here. We're approaching that final minute here. Do you want to do a score prediction, or you want to run off on this one?
I'm not going to give a score prediction today, but I'll tell you, I think if Tyron Smith plays, Cowboys win. If not, I'm pretty skeptical, just to be realistic.
Yeah, last week I was kind of like, being coy with the score prediction, but I would say this around this time. I think the Cowboys bounce back. It's a home game, and they'll figure some things out. They will get Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard involved early in the game, which with the run will set up the pass, and you will see CD score his first TD. And I can't wait to celebrate with you all. Ryan, really appreciate you for tuning in. Can you tell everybody where to find you and follow your content and things like that?
Yeah, sure. Thanks again for having me on, Law. I'm Fratagonia on YouTube, Fratagonia on Instagram, Real Fratagonia on Twitter. Go ahead and look me up.
Yes, indeed. Look up him on all of those platforms. Appreciate everybody for watching. Fan to Fan Network, this is where we have strong opinions. Everybody loves to have strong opinions, all right? And we give you fantasy advice. We have wonderful writers, man, and we got great content all around, and we speak on multiple situations, especially not just on the Dallas Cowboys, but when you go to fantofannetwork.com or what have you, you will find a plethora of other YouTube content creators and beyond. Check us out. This is the spot to be. Cowboy Nation, let's go get this win. Let's go get this W. Let's go.